Great to see you. I'm hoping this is the last disc you ever see this year. I want to thank you all for coming out. It's a lot of your time, which is very valuable. You have a lot of things that are on your plate to do. We have over 1,000 customers, over 500 partners here. We have over 100 press and analysts. It's really wonderful to see you all, and thank you so much for coming out. So what I'd like to do is in addition to thanking you for that, also thank you for, again, awarding us the world's highest Net Promoter Score in business. It's really because of your responses to us, working with us closely, that we're able to provide the kinds of products that we provide, the kind of service that we provide. I want to thank you for this. And this is the most important number in our company, and it's something that we plan not only on keeping, but actually increasing as we go forward. So thanks again very much. So we're talking about everything that you have to do. And in addition to everything you've always had to do, there are all these new challenges in front of you. AI, not to say the least. Cybersecurity, which, of course, is, if anything, just keeps getting to be a bigger and bigger burden every year. And then, of course, there's application modernization. Now, I don't know, I've been in the business for, I hate to say it, 4 decades. And it seems like we're always doing application modernization, right? It's just one decade after another with new things to modernize. And then finally, now I think is the time where we're going to make hybrid cloud real. That is, really understand what we need to have on-prem, what we need to have in the cloud, and how to create an environment where it's easy to have and choose where you put your application and allow it to move between the two environments. Now, if we're going to just address all of these different challenges, we can't really do it with the same type of thinking that we've always had, right? New challenges require new ways of thinking. Not just doing the same thing we're doing for a new environment, but rethinking how we do things. I've often thought, and this is absolutely true over decades, that it's often my assumptions that get me in trouble. I don't know if you feel the same. It's what I assume to be true that turns out not to be true, right? So if we look at what are our assumptions, in the data storage market, let's really challenge them. So one of those assumptions is that data storage is managed by IT and provisioned by IT. Part of our assumptions about storage is that the storage is tied specifically to the application stack. It's siloed. And the data itself is dedicated to that stack, and if we need it somewhere else, we have to copy it. That upgrades, like everything else in IT, is disruptive. You got to turn it off, applications come down, you put in the new system, bring the applications back up again. And that storage inherently is inefficient, meaning that you have to buy the amount of storage you need for the next 5 years, and you start using it over time, but you never really fill it up. And it's complex to manage. So these are our assumptions. So let's challenge them. What if we could have unified networked storage? In other words, the storage didn't act as individual arrays, but acted more like the cloud, where you had this unlimited amount of storage available to you, and you only paid for what you used. That it was easy to operate as a fleet, as a cloud, that it was automated, and that developers had self-service, so that it wasn't, IT didn't have to get involved in every configuration, every provisioning, but where developers could, through code, get the type of storage that they needed. What if there was no more scheduled downtime? What if you could have your applications up all the time, just like what you expect in a SaaS environment, right? In a SaaS environment, you expect the application to be up all the time. And of course, in the background, you expect it to be upgraded, updated, and constantly improving, but without disrupting your workflow. What if it had the simplicity of SaaS at the end of the day? So that's how we're looking at it at Pure. Our goal is to build a platform that's consistent, that's as a service, and that meets all of your storage needs, not just one particular slice, not just one use case, or not just a series of use cases with different platforms. One platform to really satisfy all of the storage needs and make it look as a service. And by the way, do it both on the private as well as on public clouds. All right, so this is what we're doing with the Pure Storage platform, and it starts with Evergreen. Now you might ask, why does it start with Evergreen? Well, if you do not build a platform that is inherently non-disruptive with its upgrades, that cannot be constantly improved or changed without disrupting an application environment, well then you don't get the foundation of a SaaS environment, right? So you need the ability to constantly improve the technology without disruption to your developers, to your applications, to your business. It has to always be getting better. So that's the foundation. On top of that, then, we've built Purity. Purity is the one operating system behind all of our products, right? Same APIs, same management capability, and it's a simple, unified infrastructure. It supports all formats, so block, file, and object, not different operating environments for different types of storage structures. It supports both scale up and scale out, and it has extraordinarily high density and efficiency. So Purity is also a foundation, because when you operate on one single operating system, you're able to make improvements across your entire product line. You're not fragmenting, in our case, our development team across multiple different software environments, right? And we make it easier for the customers because you only have to learn one environment, not multiple. Now, this is something that we've done that's very, very special and new, and that is that we've created a control plane. Now, it may be hard to believe, but data storage is the one area in tech that never created a control plane. You had a data plane, you had a management plane, but no control plane that pervades the entire data storage environment. And this is what we've put together. And it's because we had a single operating system, and because we operated on Flash, which has high performance, that we could do this. And that allows you to be able to manage the entire fleet as a fleet rather than as individual arrays. It enables you to create for your developers, for your organization, something that looks like a cloud of storage rather than individual arrays, satisfying individual use cases. And we've allowed for automated provisioning by policy, as well as automated services, again, by policy. And we're going to go into this in greater detail. And then finally, we do this once you put all that together, that is a control plane, the ability to operate as a fleet or as a cloud of storage, single operating environment, well, then you can provide it as a service, right? Complete SaaS model. Now, our as a service model is just like, in fact, is a SaaS model. What does a SaaS model mean? When you buy SaaS, you're not being sold, or you don't have specific equipment with serial numbers that you're operating. What you get are service level agreements, right? You get a service level agreement that gives you guarantees for how the service will operate, which is exactly what we do with Evergreen One. It operates entirely like the cloud. It's all through a web interface or through software interface, and we provide consistent and constant improvements non-disruptively to your environment. So, the API model, the web model is the way that we all want to go in the future. It's what you want to provide to your developers. You don't want trouble tickets and IT calls. What you want is to give them APIs to be able to access the services that they need. So what we are promising with this model is that we can support all of your workloads, all of the different use cases, from terabytes to exabytes, from AI to low-cost backup storage, all on the same environment. Fleet-wide, cloud-like management, and everything in between. So, this is the promise that we're making, is one, if you will, environment to really support all of your data storage environments. And this is the Pure Data Storage platform. One platform for all of your needs, consistent, simple, evergreen, effortless management at scale, providing you an as-a-service experience. So let's take a quick look as to how it performs, how it works. Because now, as opposed to array, it looks like a cloud of storage. And what does that mean? Well, let's take a standard database app that is IT managed, because often databases are managed by IT rather than the developers. And just like before, it'd be connected directly to its volumes, and those volumes might be on an array sitting right next to it. But let's say you need some additional performance that's not available on that array. This system would automatically load balance to other arrays that have greater performance, transparent to the application. Application keeps running, but additional performance or additional capacity is able to be provided automatically by the system based on the policies that you set. Or let's say you have a custom app developed by, or in development by your developers, and they want access to storage. Now today, they might go to the cloud. Why would they go to the cloud? Because they could get it within minutes, simply through going through a GUI or an API. That's not something they've been able to do inside the enterprise. But with Fusion, you could build custom APIs, custom storage classes that allow developers to get access to storage capabilities that you have defined based on your corporate policies. And by a simple API call, their data storage would be provisioned and connected to their application automatically. I mean, this is developer self-service, in a private cloud environment. Very, very powerful. And that storage might be on-prem, might be in a colo, might be in the cloud, all determined by the policies that you set, depending on the type of application environment you want for that. Let's say you have an AI application, and it needs access to data. Now today, typically what you would do is you would copy data into a data lake, a data warehouse, or into a dedicated storage environment for AI, because the storage that you have in place today was designed specifically for its use case, sized both from a performance as well as a capacity standpoint, specifically for that use case, without any extra performance to be able to service data for your AI application. But with Pure, with the power of Pure Flash, we can provide that extra bit of performance, and with Fusion, it can be networked in such a way that that AI application can get access to the data where it sits, rather than having to replicate data all the time into specialized environments specifically for the purpose of doing analytics. So a very powerful capability that's allowed by the combination of networking and performance that we're providing with both Fusion and in this platform overall. So a very powerful system environment. Now, let's look at data at rest. At data at rest, there are still things you generally want to do with it. You want to tier it, you want to replicate it. You may want to geofence it. This type of data cannot leave a certain geographic boundary or a political boundary. That is, within your own organization, some data might be able to, should be viewed by some groups and not by other groups. You can set those policies within Fusion so that data stays within, it can stay geofenced, and data can be replicated or tiered automatically based on the policies you set. So it's a very powerful offering. All right, now let's take a look at why we believe we can do this. We've been providing you, and you've worked with us to create products and capabilities that have proven their leadership over 10 years. We've been 10 years at the upper right of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We've delivered products that have lower labor, 10x more reliable than everybody else, 2 to 5 times more power space efficient. So we've proven our leadership over the last 10 years, but we are even more ambitious as we go forward. As we go forward, we want to lead the way to the next decade of leadership in storage. In particular, we want automated storage management across your entire fleet, all of your data storage in your enterprise environment. We want to create developer self-service for you so that you can create policies for how your data in your organization is managed, and then allow your developers to get access to those managed storage classes. You're in control, but so are they. And it builds a beautiful relationship. We want a seamless data platform. Why have multiple operating systems when one will do? And then finally, this will allow you to save money, because instead of having some arrays that are full and some that are empty, but you can't share the storage, we can now treat the storage in your enterprise as a utility, all of it operating together, satisfying your data storage needs. So this is our data storage platform. Let's see how it works against these new challenges that we talked about. So starting with AI. With AI, this provides performance at scale. The world's largest GPU clouds, the world's largest GPU supercomputer, the Meta Research Supercluster, relies on pure FlashBlade to deliver optimal performance for their GPUs, running at 100%. Even better, we can provide performance across all of our tiers of storage. If we replace your spinning disks with flash for roughly the same price at entry, it's 5 times more performant. You have extra performance for things like access to AI analytics. And we are building for you a broad set, and you'll hear this more at the event, a broad selection of NVIDIA validated designs for RAG and for inference, and many of them very much focused on vertical businesses such as healthcare, such as pharmaceuticals, banking, manufacturing, et cetera. Okay, let's look at cybersecurity. Pure was the first to offer immutable snapshots and rapid recovery from cyber attack. Now, as you'll hear later, we're going to be offering lifecycle support and emergency support for your clean room environments when you have law enforcement also involved in any cybersecurity attack. All right, let's take a look at application modernization. As you are looking at moving on from virtual machines to containers, we are able to provide you the ability to do, to be able to make that motion, whether it's moving from one type of VM environment to another, whether it's about moving from a on-prem VM environment to a cloud VM environment, or whether it's moving from VMs to containers. We have the technology to make it easy for you to do so. And then finally, making hybrid cloud real. We have Purity working in AWS and in Azure that allow you to move and operate your VM-based workloads in both environments with exactly the same services, exactly the same APIs as we have on-prem. That makes the movement of not just your data, but your application easier as well. And oh, by the way, we save you a ton of money when we make that move. So that's the basic platform. It's what makes the platform a platform. What do you think?